I can kind of hit on the game a little bit. I'm sure I can anticipate what some questions and stuff may be, and I'll just kind of roll through some stuff. First thing, obviously, field goal wise, we had our first official miss in the game from 51 yards. The snap was um, low and inside just a little bit, but Rigo's a great holder. He got the ball down on the spot clean, which we always expect to have happen with Rigo. The ball's down on the spot, we got to make the kick. There's not any difference between the way Spencer's going to hit a ball, just like a lot of really good, talented NFL kickers that have a big leg. He's not going to hit any different from 33 yards versus 48 yards versus 58 yards. He has plenty of leg to be able to make it from all of those distances. He's just got to approach the ball with good rhythm and be smooth every single time with his rhythm and timing. Keep his eyes down and finish through the ball as he hits it clean. He pulled his eyes up just a little bit too soon on that one. Ended up deep in his plant. Ended up pushing a little bit to the right. As a whole, feel really, really good and confident about where he's at with everything. I think he's handled pregame and all of his game situations really well so far. You're looking at him as a first-time, starting kicker through 3 preseason games. He was 9 for 10 with makes from 53 and 56. Through 3 regular season games, he's 11 of 12. So you're looking at his first 6 games through as a full-time starter here, both preseason and regular season. He's 20 of 22. We just got to continue to keep building on that. And I think he's done a really good job being comfortable and confident in a lot of those moments. And we just got to keep pushing him forward as we move through that. Punt return, obviously, we had an official punt rep. Rigo did a really good job getting the ball down at the 9-yard line. We've had very limited reps, in general for punt and punt return. We had one punt return rep, weren't able to get Gould going. Still need to get him going as we work through that. Kickoff wise, throughout the NFL, it's at 77% of return rate. So it went down slightly this past week, but still a really high number of returns. We did not start the game exactly the way we wanted. The first kickoff, we ended up sailing just a little bit too far into the end zone. They ended up taking a touchback. The next one, the kick did not exactly go exactly the way that we wanted or hoped for it to. Still, we ended up getting a deep kick. We've got to do a little bit better job covering on that initial kickoff. We didn't keep our coverage lanes properly on the right side. We had somebody come free that could have made the tackle at the 25. We missed a tackle. They ended up getting it to the 40. We ended up settling in, doing a little bit better job with our deep kicks as we worked throughout the game. Had 3 tackles then, inside the 30, 2 within the 25. And certainly, made some improvements as we move forward that we need to continue to build off. Kickoff-wise, kickoff return, I thought we were really solid in the game. Thought we've been overall solid throughout the season. We had 2 returns in the game that got out to the kicker. Their kicker, Joey Slye, did a really good job fitting in coverage and making 2 tackles, one of which he made at the 42-yard line. If he doesn't make that tackle, certainly I think we're out. It's early days of the season, but it's just as you kind of look to compare through everything, we're the number 3 kickoff return unit in the NFL. We got a really big challenge this week. The Rams are the number 1 kickoff unit in the NFL, and that's largely due to the fact that their kicker, Cardi, has really been elite with hitting line drive trick kicks and getting the ball on the ground, which has certainly hurt, the opponent's offensive starting field position off of return. So we've got to do a great job as we put a plan together this week to be able to secure the ball and be able to set up our offense with the best field position possible, as we're moving forward. And obviously, Big Grove, big shout out to him blocking the 62-yard field goal and doing a great job getting pressure on that.
Joel, go ahead with your question.
A ton of blocked field goals last week around the league. Um, is that just kind of a perfect storm of everything coming together, or is there something there a little bit with field goals getting blocked?
That's a great question. Tuesday night, so tonight is when I watched through all the other clips from around the league, Joel. And you know what? I should have watched all the blocked field goals last night because I should have known that it was very unique. What I think there's 5 blocked field goals and then 9 returns for touchdown across the league. So a lot of special teams action yesterday. A number of the ones that I watched or I've seen so far were longer field goals. So obviously, at times longer field goals, lower trajectory kick, better opportunity to be able to get a block. I don't know the exact correlation if it was a coincidence or if there were a number. Obviously people are getting more comfortable with kickers kicking further and further back field goals. Does that have something to do with the fact that there was a number of long distance field goals that, people were able to get a tip on? But it's probably more or less a coincidence. Obviously 2 were in the Eagles game. So 2 of the 5, obviously there was one issue that the Eagles were able to exploit there.
In terms of preventing blocks on those long kicks, is there anything you can do? Because obviously it does have to be a lower trajectory.
Yeah, so the number one thing, when we talk about the field goal block team, in order for you to block a kick, you could do a perfect job as a field goal block team, but the only way that you're going to be able to block a kick is if it's a slow operation or a low kick, right? Now, unless you have, some sort of freak of a situation where Myles Garrett completely jumps over everybody and is able to block a kick. Something like that happens. Obviously, that breaks the norm. That's an extreme. But in a normal situation, you're going to need a slow operation or a low kick. So some kickers that have big legs, Brandon Aubrey, some guys, even from a long distance field goal are going to have really good high trajectory on a lot of their kicks, and that's not going to be an issue. Some kickers obviously are going to drive the ball a little bit more from a longer distance, and that's going to end up being a little bit of an issue. And you got to make sure you can't allow any push to create a new line of scrimmage and let those guys move back 2 yards to be able to get a hand on the ball. So some of that's going to be dependent on the kicker on whether or not you can control some of that or not. But certainly you need to win at the line of scrimmage and make sure you have a normal operation with getting the ball up over the line of scrimmage.
James, go ahead.
Brian, Grover will never give himself credit for any play he makes. He kind of just makes things seem like they're as easy as, I don't know, walking. But can you explain like why he had success on that play and what makes him so disruptive?
Yeah, so Joe Hastings coaches our field goal block unit, does a great job of just being able to switch up the different looks and things to try and get some guys free. In that situation, Grove was waving across the long snapper. We felt like if we could wave one or two guys, that can then cause the guard and tackle on the side that we're waving from to potentially fall out, so then somebody can swim a C gap on that side. Also, there are times where some teams, if you wave across to the other A gap, they're not expecting somebody in that A gap, and that can free up space for them to be able to get a little bit of push and jump through that A gap, which is what Grove did in that situation. So Grove just did a great job being able to wave and come free in the opposite A gap, which was right down the target line of the kick. And as he worked through, there was some space where the long snapper was leaning, right? Grove started on our left side. He waves to the right side. The long snapper was leaning to the left side, not expecting Grove to wave to the right side. So there was some air there for him to be able to jump through. He did a great job being able to get, high in the sky and get his fingertip on the ball.
You can do a few more here, Kevin.
Brian, any teaching points you can take from the end of the first half with the whole K-ball thing and anything you kind of take from that you can use moving forward?
I don't know the specifics of everything that obviously happened there. So, not to cast too much, cast too much judgment on an opposing team. Certainly they subbed the field goal team out there late. The earlier you can make that decision and get your field goal unit out there, the cleaner that situation is going to be. So if you're going to have the field goal unit out there, especially during a timeout, it's going to give the officials and the managers plenty of time to make sure they have the correct ball out there. So I don't know if it was something about it happening late, or if there was miscommunication between the officials, managers. I don't know exactly what that situation is, but certainly we trust that we're going to get our guys out there in an efficient manner, and we know that our managers do an unbelievable job of taking care of the special teams unit and getting the K-ball out there.